Hello and welcome back to the channel. I want to talk to you today about Kanye West because I think one of the most interesting commercial trends that's happening right now is how businesses are responding when a founder, celebrity or public figure becomes reputationally difficult to manage. And Kanye is probably one of the clearest modern examples of a difficult character at scale. Now, obviously, this story has been evolving for many years. We've seen partnerships collapse, sponsorships disappear, brands publicly distancing themselves, and repeated controversy creating enormous commercial fallout. But what's interesting now is that businesses are becoming much more sophisticated in how they think about personality risk. Because for a long time, the business world became obsessed with personal branding. Founders were encouraged to become visible, build audiences, be authentic, and be the face of the business. And commercially, that works incredibly well. People trust people more than corporations. So that's why founder-led brands grow quickly, creators build loyal audiences, and personality-driven businesses often scale faster emotionally. But the trade-off is the more commercially valuable the personality becomes, the more exposed the business becomes to that individual's behaviour and reputation. And that's the really interesting business issue that lies underneath the Kanye story. Because commercially, the value was never just the trainers, the music, or any of the products. A huge amount of the value sat in Kanye himself. His identity, his influence, his audience, his marriage, and cultural relevance were the commercial engine. But once the business became heavily dependent on one person, it created a concentration risk. And that's the part that all businesses can underestimate. Now, obviously, most founders are not operating at the scale of Kanye West, but the principle itself absolutely exists more broadly. We now live in an era where founders have podcasts, CEOs build LinkedIn audiences, businesses are tied closely to personalities, and personal brands are increasingly driving commercial attention, which means reputation itself has become commercially material. And investors are paying much closer attention to this now, because one of the questions investors are increasingly asking in founder-led businesses is, how dependent is this business on the founder personality? Could the business survive reputational damage, public controversy, leadership changes, or loss of audience trust? That's a very real commercial issue right now. And honestly, one of the biggest risks in founder-led businesses is when the founder and the company become psychologically inseparable. Because at that point, the business inherits the volatility of the individual. Now, legally, this has also changed the way that contracts are drafted. One of the biggest examples is morality clauses. And people hear about morality clauses all the time in celebrity deals without really understanding what they are. Essentially, they're contractual protections allowing brands or counterparties to distance themselves, terminate agreements, or protect their reputation if an individual's conduct becomes commercially damaging. And these clauses have become much more important in the social media era because reputational fallout now moves incredibly quickly. A controversy that once unfolded over months can now become global within hours, which means businesses increasingly want faster exit rights, broader reputational protections, and more control over public association. And we're seeing this not just in celebrity endorsement deals anymore, but increasingly investors, brands, sponsors, and commercial partners are thinking carefully about founder conduct, online visibility, and reputational exposure. Because modern enterprise value is often not just tied to financial performance, but public trust. Now, another interesting part of the Kanye situation is this tension between creative unpredictability and commercial stability. Because many brands want founders and personalities to feel bold, disruptive, or unconventional. That creates a tension. But eventually there comes a point when unpredictability stops feeling commercially exciting and it starts feeling commercially dangerous. And businesses are often much worse at identifying where that line is than they think they are, because modern media rewards attention, controversy, and polarization, which means businesses sometimes commercially benefit from the exact traits that later become reputational problems. That's a very modern issue. And honestly, I think over the next few years, we're going to see much more focus on founder governance, key person risk, reputation management, and brand separation. particularly in businesses where the founder themselves is a major part of the marketing engine. Because the stronger the emotional connection between the audience and the individual, the more important it becomes to think carefully about how exposed the business becomes to that individual over time. And I think the Kanye story is one of the clearest public examples of what happens when the founder is simultaneously the biggest commercial asset and the biggest commercial risk. If you found this video interesting, please make sure to like and subscribe, because we're going to keep breaking down the legal and commercial issues sitting underneath major business stories, celebrity controversies, and current events. And if there are any other stories you'd like us to cover, drop them in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.